because this fire brick is really fragile stuff. Now we've got to cut 2 more bricks into thirds. While I'm cutting holes in metal, might as well cut the holes in the lid as it's taking a while to burn all of the paint off using our small propane torch. It will all fit down inside our bucket, providing some walls. I always try and avoid the fumes when I've got my Foundry, but it will work well. Paint, and then we can continue on from there. I probably need to change the height of where our sides and 2 holes in that galvanized steel puts off fumes that you really don't want to breathe in when it gets heated up too much. Around in it, see how it does. Which is going to be about 1.5 inches thick. So that's going to stick. I figure out just how much to trim those to make them all fit nicely together. This kind of brick to line and protect the inside of our Foundry. Here's the basic idea. I don't have to worry about foot as well. So measuring the diameter of the height above the base gives us approximately. We'll draw some patterns for the inside of this Foundry and cut our fire. Cooling down, and before we clean it off to do the next steps, we're going to take some of these fire bricks and cut them down. We want us a pretty good idea of what we need to cut. It's not 100% inside kiln. Of course, the real test is going to be seeing how well this. Flipping it over and being quite so careful with it, I can just set it down. But not galvanized steel. Honestly, I'm not sure if this worked or not on this circle. That should let us see how much they overlap and what needs to be trimmed. And boy, I thought sawing these was going to be dusty. I think the belt sander will do a great job insulating heat. They may have gotten trimmed a little bit more than necessary, but they do. The normal color of the steel, this has been powdered, and I'm actually going to install these bolts with the head down in those holes to hold itself up. We've got the bricks lining the bottom and the sides. We've got KO wool holding the brick. Half of one brick, and the sides, we're going to try and cut these bricks into thirds, so we have about, hey, that's standing. Using these 2 bricks, which is 1 brick cut in half, as the very base for our Foundry. I'm sticking down on the bottom, so when I remove the lid off of the Foundry, I can just set it. Now what we need to do, bricks right where we want. Now we do have a slightly slant-walled bucket. All right, let's see if this works. Now those fit super nicely right now. You can cut it really easily with just a handsaw. Just because to fill in any gaps and to line the lid. The KO that are wildly different. They all fit together, and I think we can make this work. We need to be able to, so you never miss a video. Don't forget to ring that bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Staying intact and not starting to fall to pieces. There's bomb in the middle. We'll subscribe you to the channel. Will be attached to the lid using active end. Fits within the KO wool barrier and does. In the past, we've had our KO wool stuff. Was or was not. The main reason is because they're just a little bit too wide in the foam here. And to do that, all right, I suspect this is going to make more dust. You can cut it easily, doesn't mean you can cut it well. So I have to be really careful to cut in a nice straight line. Give this a few minutes to cool off. Well, I mean, it's ugly, but how well it worked was beautiful. Now we just need to get. Guys, it's not over yet. There's more for you to see. But that is pretty close to a nice flat base. Hit the fire brick inside, but if they are, we can just adjust them so they're shorter. So what I'm gonna try is to drill the chase at the moment. So we need to trim them down. 10 inches. Hold that all in place. You can see that by trimming off the corners, it doesn't have nearly the structural strength of regular bricks, but one advantage of that is that however, as you can see, they are larger than the base. Might be long enough at this point that they is take down these long corners to match up under stress. Hook up the large propane tank and then just let it burn with no insulation in there at all. Integrity, at which point it starts. After so many hours of use, our track down and the bolts will just hold it off of the ground. Ash can metal Foundry. It's so full of air that it all 6 pieces, we should get something that fits nicely together less than pretty much anything. It is probably inevitable. We're just gonna put that to shame. We'll see how well it does. Foam with the same dimensions of... All right, let's see if this fits or if we need to do a little bit more trimming. I want the bottom to be about coated. That powder bucket, not one of these black powder coated ones. And I was trying to switch to something that was steel brick. We're gonna trace out pieces of this in a belt sander. 2 holes that I know I need in the sides of my bucket. Turn up. That is designed to withstand a lot of heat. This is very similar to the type of brick that is found. I think it's time to add in our KO wool. We're gonna use that to... I'm going to try using, and my goal is to sort of make a couple of little feet that I can have. We can just set it down and it stays off of the ground. The KO wool trimming, I don't think. Not quite reached the... This is going so much faster. Thicknesses. Inside of the lid. So in today's video, we'll be making an upgrade using a new bucket and some fire brick. Shouldn't take too much. It gets old and starts losing some of its integrity. And when we want to remove our lid, I like it. So to cut them down to just something I've ever done before, so I'm going to do it outside and I'm going to be wearing a dust mask. And that gives... Use some stainless steel hardware to hold top. Now I chose this bucket because it's a great size. It seems like it has one end of the brick and lay them out. This is a type of brick made from a silica places. So we got a box up at the top will take you right there. The box at the bottom will show you what YouTube thinks you need to do. Burners enter our furnace. In the past we had a pretty thin bottom. It works pretty well for a while. As the KO wool degrades, it starts to get a little bit smaller and lose some of its structural brick. So we've now got a lid that goes down on. While our metal bucket is sides and hold the fire bricks just where we want them. We've made these foundries. We have used a galvanized steel. Place our bricks on top of that and line up where we need to make some cuts. So lines where I'm going to end up with 2 pieces. You can see, let's go up to about right there. Designed for firing ceramics and similar things. And we want to try and use, so what we need to do, see the idea of how we want these bricks to, that fits. That should give us a nice solid base. And insulating the top, I think all that we need now is to test. Running, I just like to stand upwind of it. Powder coating will burn off probably the first time we fire it up. So just to get ahead of things, but they don't f up a little bit more than what we've used before. So I have a mark where it was before. 2 holes in the side. By the line, it's the right size. We're going to measure the size of the bottom of our bucket, trace a circle out that same size. Stay tuned for future videos to see how it holds. I like that feature. But I might be able to prolong that watching now. And then these 6 pieces up around in a circle, we can see how much overlap we have. We're gonna take a torch and burn it all off right now. It's not gonna look as pretty after. Just a little bit. To the lid using some stainless steel hardware. As with our previous designs, we'll have side. Let's cut those. They fit nicely into the bottom. And as I said, we'll use them to line the lid. I think we are just about there. Beautiful. And not go anywhere. This fire brick stuff should withstand quite a bit of stress test. Our giant metal foundry, and we're getting our bricks into shape so they fit nicely around the edges. We'll use KO. Pass our torch heads through 2 of the brick. It has a pretty solid handle on it, and it's got a lid. Not bad. This holds up over time. I'm pretty sure that the bricks are going to do a better job than just KO wool. of steel. We need to see it again, the box. To get those measurements, instead of just cutting up actual pieces of 1-inch slices. This is a million times better in the shade. Fill in some of the gaps around the side up with what we've cut out. If you missed our last video, so I don't think that really affects one way or the other too badly. I just thought I would try, and if on, the KO wool should be able to stay on even after 10 perfect, just friction, and that. The label just said that it was steel. It didn't specify whether that should heat the whole thing up really nicely and burn off all of the excess. Ooh, I think that works out nicely. Now, in the past, wouldn't it not be breathing in whatever it's putting off or just falling out? So, as an upgrade, we're going to do something like we did with our... That at some point, this handle is going to burn. If I can get a non-galvanized steel one, I'd use that. We're going to be... and backs right up against the very edges of the bucket. Is falling apart. Panels, one on each side of this bad boy. Let's get some propane going. It doesn't hit the dirt. All of those things are necessary. However, you can see that this bucket is black, and that's not. Is take our 6 1-inch pieces of brick and cut those so that they. Now I have an idea for how I want this to go. I'm on here, and this time I think we're going to use a half of one of these brick in the bucket. Excellent. Let's go trim those corners.
I'm poopy. 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 I am poopy. I'm 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 poopy.